Let's get ready to story! Andrea, Talarico, name, McGuigan. That's backwards.
Don't touch me. Let me tell you about my first pap smear. I am of a certain, what I consider to be mature, older, teenage age, and I come to my mother for the talk. And I ask, Mom, what age do you think is appropriate to lose one's virginity? And my mother stares and then looks at me and she says, well, Andrea, I really think it's less about a number, it's more about emotional maturity. And even more importantly than that, I think it's about waiting for the right person. I think you really, really, really need to love someone and consider sex to be the ultimate act of intimacy. And I look at her and ask, well, hear me out. What if he's like a really nice guy and he drives me places and I really, really, really think he's kind of okay? Is that the same? It's not the same thing, is it? It's not the same thing, I'm sorry. Okay, here's a new question, Mom. What happens if this past weekend I was in a car with James, and the car was not so much driving as it was parked. It was parked. And Counting Crows was playing. It's the 90s. Counting Crows is on, and I found myself in a back seat, and I went far. I didn't go as far out as someone can go, but I traveled. I traveled with James. I went to a place, and now, Mom, I love you. Everything's burning. It's all on fire down there. Can we talk about this? And my mom immediately launches into a lecture, and I stop her and I was like, Mom, there is no lecture you can give me. There is nothing you can say that I have not thought. I am a Catholic-raised child growing up as a teenager in the 90s, which is basically an AIDS marketing campaign. It's just everywhere. It's Kelly's boyfriend, Jesse, on a very special episode of Life Goes On. It's on Melrose Place. I watched Real World Season 4. I know what happens, okay? There is nothing you can say because I have been showering for the past 2 days and eulogizing myself and weeping. And everyone at my funeral is gonna be standing there saying, but she was such a smart girl. She got straight A's and she died of AIDS. And now she has this poor AIDS baby, and it's in an orphanage. Who's gonna love this AIDS baby? There is nothing you can say, Mother, that I have not thought of. And so she does what any mother does and makes me an appointment for gynecology. And we live in Tunkhannock, and we make an appointment at the Meshoppen office of Geisinger because I don't really want to go to Tunkhannock, where I've gone my whole life for this specific moment. And we drive up Route 6 to the Meshoppen clinic, and there is no one around. There are no cars, there are no lights. There's nothing in Meshoppen at Geisinger's office, except a little note on the door that says, closed due to flooding. All appointments, please go to our Tunkhannock office. I show up at the Tunkhannock office, itchy as hell, uncomfortable. There's like 50 people in the waiting room, kids hacking on things. There's just like rednecks with their 18 spawn all over the place. You know, I love Tunkhannock, but God bless them. Wow, waiting rooms, it's an ugly place. And so there are 2 doctors in the Tunkhannock Geisinger office, neither of which I want to see. And I end up with not my childhood pediatrician, who has seen me my entire life, but the other doctor who is my best friend's mother. Sue. I mean, Dr. Rogers. Okay. And Sue is kind of a hard-talking. She's been around. She's a doctor. She's like, nothing scares her. Sue is not the woman you really want to go to with feelings about things. And so I go into Sue, and she's like, Andrea, let's talk about why you're here. I'm like, Sue, Dr. Rogers, last weekend, I think I went to like 3rd and a half base. I didn't so much slide into home as I like saw it right there. And that's fine. I'm like really close to being an adult now, but everything underneath my belly button and above my knees is on fire. I have to pee constantly. I think I'm incontinent, and I think I'm pregnant, and I think I'm dying of AIDS. Okay. And so she gives me like the paper dress, and she says, you're gonna go into this room and you're gonna put on this dress, but first you're gonna pee into a cup. You could be knocked up. You could have chlamydia. You could have gonorrhea. You could have HIV. You could have genital warts. We're gonna see what's happening, Andrea. You just go into the other room there. So I go in with the dress, and my one thigh is in the first stirrup, and girls, I don't know if you remember this, but she pretty much takes my other thigh and like walks. She just keeps walking. She keeps walking. We're back in Meshoppin at this point, I think. It's definitely a different zip code, and my other thigh and foot lands in the other stirrup, and she's kind of in there, like, Andrea, you need to relax. I'm like, I can't. She's like, I think you know how to relax. Yeah, remember? Who got to 3rd and a half base this weekend? Yeah, relax. And then Tunkhannock is not equipped to be a gynecologist's office. So she goes out into the office. She's like, I apologize. Normally you would go to Meshoppin for this. We're not set up for this. It's a special occasion, flooding. And so she goes out, and she comes back with an intern who graduated with my older brother. And I know her. I'm like, hi, how are you? And she clicks on a flashlight. The intern has a flashlight. It's my brother's friend, my best friend's mother, just gazing into my vagina. And the pap comes and the pap goes, and Sue comes back and she says, Andrea, you have a urinary tract infection. That's all it is. You're not dying, you don't have AIDS. It's just, when the penis just rubs against the vagina, when it just kind of mashes it in there. I don't know, you're dry humping, I don't know what you kids do, but it does that. It's a thing that like sailors' wives get because they don't get it for long periods of time. You have that. Cranberry juice, antibiotics, you're gonna be fine. I'm putting you on the pill, P.S. Go ahead. And that's the story about how I don't have AIDS. Okay, thanks everybody.
Now she tells me,